ambassador. And today we want you to feature your book and tell us about it. But for those that aren't familiar with you, in the next minute or two, tell us a little about the journey of the last 3 years, what you've gone through, your IBD journey.
So it all started with a doctor visit, and they found out that my anemia was low. So I ended up going to the hospital. They didn't expect me to stay for 2 months, but that's what happened. I stayed for 2 months. And during that 2 months, they found that I had Crohn's disease, which is one of the reasons I was anemic. So they put me on biologics. Some of the biologics don't work. And then they found some that did work. One of those was Stelara. Another one was Entyvio. And now I'm on both of those. And each one is for every 4 weeks, which means I have to get biologics every 2 weeks, which it is stressful, but it makes me feel healthier, and that's what matters. So if it means a lot to me that all of you here are finding ways to help find a new biologic that might be more effective in some ways, you know? So it just means a lot to me, and I thank all of you out here. It just means so much. So thank you.
So just to make sure everyone has the background. Mason has been in the hospital, I think, twice in the last 2 years. Is that right, Mason?
Yeah, well, not 2 years.
Lots of little visits.
Yes, just
Treatments. Lots, yeah.
Lots of, but you were hospitalized
Yes.
twice in the last 2 years. And for those that haven't heard the story before, this was during COVID. His parents, you can only imagine trying to, deal with a sick child during COVID. They actually slept in their car for 30 days. And they would alternate staying with him because they would only allow one parent in the hospital with him. And so take a second and think about your own kid and having to deal with that type of adversity. And I think it's just so special how strong he is and the optimism that he has for the future. And he's not letting his sickness, his illness become a liability. Rather, he's using it to actually help other patients with IBD, learn that there's life after diagnosis. So, Mason, you have a special relationship with Rolf. And tell me how Rolf has helped you. I'm talking about Rolf Bernishka, one of our original, he was involved in the early financing of our company, was a former kicker of the San Diego Chargers, and is an IBD patient and advocate. If you get IBD in Southern California, odds are you have Rolf on the short list to talk to. But you've gotten to develop a personal relationship with Rolf. Tell me about that.
It all started one day. We were in the hospital, and I was in the hospital bed, and my mom was in the room, and she got a call. That caller was Rolf Bernishka, and he called, and he wanted to find a way to help.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it started, and then it expanded from there. He talked more and more, and then he made me one of the mission speakers for the 2021 gala.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2021 gala. And
For the Crohn's and Colitis.
yes, for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. I forgot that part. Sorry. But anyways, now we're here, and if it wasn't for him, I probably would not know about Prometheus and the Clones and Supplies Foundation. So he was a really big help, and now everybody here is a really big help because they're all a part of this. So it means a lot. But that's how he just started by helping. So
Mason, tell us about this book, Not Your Average Slice of Pizza. What inspired you to write this, and tell us a little bit about the book.
So this book is basically, I am the pizza. That's a weird sentence to say, but I'm the pizza. And there's other characters in there than my parents. There's a character named Brie, it's cheese, and there's a character named Krusty, that's a baguette, that's my dad. And basically it's just a way it's fun for kids. What it was meant for is, it was meant to be a book for the hospital, for kids to learn about their disease or whatever they have, but it helps them figure out like how another kid they're about their same age figure out how to cope and deal with it. But it mostly is just the journey, and it's just a fun little book.
And I think you also made a video.
Oh yes, there was a video on it.
Can we play the video so we can give people a better feel for what's in the book?
Once upon a time, there was a boy named Reggie. He was your average slice of cheese pizza. No pepperoni, no bell peppers, no mushrooms. He lived a happy life with his mom Brie and his dad Krusty. Reggie not only cared about his family and friends, but loved to help others. Every day, Reggie had his normal routine, which brought him comfort, and he always knew what to expect. He went to school, enjoyed spending time with his friends, always had his daily snack of fish-shaped crackers, and loved taking his dog Diggity on walks. Each year, they went on a road trip, which he always looked forward to. Until one day, something suddenly changed, and he didn't feel well. He was scared because he didn't want anything to be wrong, and he didn't want to go to the doctors. It also didn't help that one of his biggest fears were needles. If there was one thing Reggie was afraid of, it was doctors, because they gave shots. When he wasn't feeling better, he had to be brave and go to the hospital. Because of that, Reggie had to have a lot of testing done. Nurses brought him into different rooms to do x-rays, CAT scans, EKGs, and MRIs. He even had to have several marinara transfusions. He always made sure to thank his nurses and doctors because he knew they were only trying to help him. Reggie made bracelets to give them as a thank you. After all the tests, the results finally came back. His doctor gave him the news.
Your body has suddenly become allergic to gluten and lactose, which is a pretty serious problem since you're a slice of cheese pizza. Your body is attacking itself.
Because of that, Reggie's life changed, and he was in the hospital for a long time. He couldn't hug his mom or dad since they were cheese, which has lactose, and bread, which has gluten. His doctor said he couldn't eat his favorite fish-shaped crackers anymore.
Reggie, hand them over.
He had to face his fear of shots daily. He learned to use a cold spray to numb his arm first and use a counting technique his mom came up with to help distract him. He spent a lot of time drawing his friends and family to get his mind off the worries and pass the time in the hospital. He couldn't do a lot of the things he used to do since he was stuck in the hospital. Because of that, Reggie felt frustrated, but he knew he had to be strong and find a way to get through this so he could go home. He was confused why everyone said he was so brave. He sure didn't feel brave most days, but he was starting to realize that you can't have bravery without fear. So maybe it made sense to have a little bit of both. He felt alone because nobody he knew had this problem. His friends had never heard of it, and they both had a lot of questions. He didn't want to have to do treatments for the rest of his life. It made him want to find a cure to not only help himself, but help others. He would need regular IV infusions of his medicine, pembrolizumab. Once he started the treatments, it was for life, and he felt like he would never go back to feeling normal again. Until finally, Reggie started to feel better. After almost 2 months in the hospital, his doctor told him he could go home. He finally had hope, and he wanted to create awareness by speaking out. Reggie and his mom met with senators to create a law to help make life easier for sick kids and adults like him. He was invited to cut the ribbon for a new marinara bank and got to thank all the tomatoes who made life-saving donations. Reggie worked with his parents to start a business where they could raise funds for research to help others suffering from chronic illness. He went to his treatments at the hospital every 2 weeks, and his nurses, doctors, and therapists became like family. He got to play with his friends and was reunited with Diggity. He even got to have his favorite fish and crackers again. He realized that even the darkest moments can still have light, and you have the power to accept and adapt to change. There was no cure for Reggie's disease, but he was learning to heal through helping others. Sometimes heroes look like Superman, and sometimes they look like a kid who is your average slice of pizza and a cheesecake. Things aren't always what they appear. Nobody's perfect. Courage is a choice, and sometimes bravery chooses you. Life can change in an instant, and it is up to you to decide the next chapter in your story. And maybe, just maybe, the normal you were searching for never existed at all.
A very wise man named Mr. Rogers once said, "Anyone who does anything to help a child in his life is a hero to me." So I would like to first thank all of you heroes for being here tonight, and thank the heroes who put so much hard work into making this event happen.
As the holiday season approaches, a lot of people have a gift giving on their minds. There's never a shortage of gifts to give if you look in your heart. My wish is for more people to consider the gift of giving of life and get out there and donate blood. It costs nothing, but it's priceless, and it's truly the best gift of all, both for the donor and the recipients and their families. Thank you.
Well, that is remarkable. So tender, and I love your optimism. And again, you have this way about you that it is inspiring. So you made a video now. You've got a book, soon to be a New York Times bestseller. What's next for Mason?
Whatever the journey holds. And actually, in October, we're doing another speech. What is it called again?
For the Coronavirus Foundation?
Yeah, the
Gala.
Coronavirus Foundation. However, I am the MC, so it's a big deal. It's a lot, but if I'm helping others, I'm gonna do it. So yes. Yes.
Well, I just want to say, Mason, thank you so much for being an inspiration to us. You are the reason why we do what we do. And we're looking forward to seeing you in October. I know a bunch of us are going to be at the CCF Gala, and can't wait to see you in action. All right?
Just clarify one thing
Sure.
of what Mason.
Hold on, here's the mic.
Right. So, I love pizza. I love pizza.
Lizumab. Pizza Lizumab? What's the
Pizza Lizumab. But just for our internal employees' information, the fact that Mason is on both Stelara and Entyvio, that goes to show you how severe his disease is. Regular IBD patients are generally just on one of the two biologics because he had a breakthrough. One wasn't enough for him. He's on actually 2 IV biologics, and that's a late line of therapy, and I don't need to tell you guys that. So when they talk about monoclonal antibody, by definition, it's an IV infusion. So he gets his vein access every 4 weeks to get 2 biologic therapy, and that's what we're working towards. For patients literally like Mason, what's next? And that's what we're developing. So thank you for your bravery. So all of this is really not just because he's on immunosuppressive therapy, he's on 2 of them.
Thanks for the context.
Oh, and the other thing I want to say though, you guys noticed when I saw him, I congratulated him for being a fatty. And so for IBD patients, especially kids, when they grow, either tall or wide, that's a sign of it's working. So he's doing really well.
Thank you, Okay. That was a compliment. So with that, Mason, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you in October. And you have wonderful parents. Thank you guys so much for bringing Mason, allowing him to be our ambassador.
Thank you.
And we're excited to continue this journey with you over the next year or 2. All right? Thanks for coming.
No
Have a
problem.
seat.
One more thing. So we have a tradition here at Prometheus. Every time we enroll a patient in one of our clinical trials, we ring a bell. And today, this morning, we enrolled a patient in Europe, I believe. We treated a patient in Europe.
Wow.
U.S. It was in U.S. Just kidding. I think we have one coming in Europe later this week. Anyways, I'd love for you to ring the bell for us to signify a patient getting the TL1A treatment.
Good.
All right, ready? Let's give a round of applause. Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming, Mason. I'm going to turn it over to Nori now.
Actually, you keep the mic because the next section is a message from the CEO.
Oh, great.
You can just-
Great, thank you, Mason.